The story of Petra begins not with a structure, but with a journey, a slow, winding, deliberate descent into silence. Our path is the Sick, a serpentine sandstone gorge that serves as the only true gateway to the lost city of the Nabataeans. Imagine the sensation of walking here. The walls rise around you, immense and red, sometimes soaring to heights of 200 meters, yet often narrowing so tightly that the sky above is reduced to a mere ribbon of brilliant, unforgiving blue. The air here is cool, held captive by the towering rock. Every footstep echoes, only to be swallowed by the deep, resonant canyon. The Nabataeans, the people who carved this magnificent city from the living stone, understood the power of the approach. They did not want their capital to be easily found or casually entered. The Sick is a theatrical prelude, a ceremony of revelation designed to humble and prepare the traveler. It is a 4-kilometer meditation on the geological age of the Earth. As the path twists and turns, sometimes dramatically, sometimes subtly, the light plays games. It catches the iron-rich sandstone, shifting its color from deep crimson to soft rose pink, then to a dusty, quiet gold. The rock feels alive, constantly breathing and changing under the gaze of the sun. But the most immediate, critical lesson the Sick teaches is about the Nabataeans' true genius, their reverence for and mastery of water. If you slow your pace and focus your gaze, you will see it. Along the lower edge of the Sick's eastern wall, running almost the entire length of the path, is a channel. This is the main water conduit, a shallow, perfectly engineered trench carved directly into the bedrock, sometimes reinforced with terracotta piping. This channel carried the lifeblood of the city. As you walk, the whisper of this water, the ghost of its sound flowing down the perfect gradient toward the city, becomes the subtle guiding hum of our entire story. The Nabataeans were people of the rock and water. They were desert dwellers who defied the desert, transforming a desolate gorge into a capital by sheer ingenious control of this most precious element. They were masters of scarcity, channeling every drop of seasonal rainfall with meticulous precision. The story we follow now is not about gold, but about ingenuity. We walk slowly, letting the high walls enclose us, following the silent, invisible path of the water, drawing nearer to the place of the ultimate deception, the structure named after a wealth it never truly possessed. We walk until the light begins to change, signaling the end of the long approach. After the long, dark constriction of the Sick, the moment of Al-Khazneh's revelation is designed to be a blinding theatrical shock. The canyon, which had been your world for the past hour, abruptly opens to reveal a structure of impossible beauty. Imagine rounding the final corner. The darkness of the deep gorge instantly yields to a brilliant, almost painful burst of sunlight, and then, slowly, majestically, the great façade of the Treasury, Al-Khazneh, slides into view. It is not built, it is carved, hewn directly out of the smooth, unyielding face of the rose-pink sandstone cliff. The sensation is one of profound, beautiful disbelief. The structure seems to materialize out of the rock itself, standing 2 stories high, crowned with Hellenistic columns and winged figures. Its sheer scale, over 40 meters tall, is overwhelming, yet its ornamentation is delicate, speaking of an obsessive, intricate artistry. This sudden, magnificent emergence is the ultimate visual deception.
The Nabataeans, who built their city for function and trade, used the sick to create a moment of pure, shocking theater. They understood that the mind, after the constriction of the long canyon, would be entirely unprepared for such a sudden and massive manifestation of power and artistry. The light plays its most crucial trick here. Because of the sick's orientation, Al-Khazneh often catches the early morning sun, bathing the entire facade in a radiant, almost impossible pink glow, making the sculpted columns and figures seem to shimmer. The rock does not look like stone, it looks like living, molded clay. The name itself, Al-Khazneh, meaning the Treasury, is the first and most enduring lie of the structure. Later Bedouin lore, seeing the immense Greco-Roman grandeur and the decorative urn atop the roof, assumed it must have been built to house an unimaginably large treasure, perhaps belonging to an Egyptian pharaoh who hid his wealth while fleeing Moses. But the moment of revelation is not about gold. It is about the Nabataean soul, a people who mastered trade, language, and engineering, and expressed their profound connection to the divine by carving their most sacred structures into the living substance of the earth. We pause in the open plaza, allowing the silent, powerful elegance of the façade to settle over us. We look at the columns, the sculpted figures of the Amazons, and the central tholos. We know the name is a lie, but the structure's beauty commands a silent, profound reverence for the lost civilization that achieved this feat of impossible architecture. Our next step is to enter and confront the true nature of the space within.
The greatest external piece of lore, the story that actually gave the magnificent structure its permanent, misleading name, is the myth of the pharaoh's gold. This tale centers on the massive decorative urn that sits prominently atop the central tholos, the circular dome-like structure on the treasury's upper level. Imagine this urn, carved from the same solid sandstone, standing as the highest, most tantalizing point of the entire facade. It is large and imposing, and according to the Bedouin story that permeated the region for centuries, this final, inaccessible urn was not mere decoration. It was the repository of immense wealth, piled high with gold coins, jewels, and the priceless treasures of an ancient, fleeing Egyptian pharaoh. This narrative emerged from a simple desire to explain the structure's inconceivable wealth of artistry. Why else would desert people expend such unimaginable effort to carve such a beautiful, towering edifice if it were not for the protection of an equally unimaginable treasure? The belief in the gold was so strong, so absolute, that it led to the only acts of deliberate destruction visible on the pristine facade. If you look closely at the urn, even in the soft light, you can see the subtle, pitted marks left by gunfire. This is the story of the treasure hunters. For centuries, local Bedouin tribes, believing the gold was just out of reach, used their rifles to try and shatter the sandstone urn. They fired countless rounds, hoping to break the stone shell and watch the legendary pharaoh's gold cascade down the facade onto the plaza below. The results, of course, were always the same: dust, chipped stone, and the preservation of the deeper mystery. The urn was solid, carved from the bedrock itself. There was no internal cavity for gold, only the stubborn, unyielding silence of the ancient stone. The deep, steady tone of the narration now dwells on the folly and the enduring power of this myth. The myth of the pharaoh's gold is the ultimate testament to human greed and misunderstanding. It provides the second layer of deception in Petra. The first was the treasury's magnificent appearance. The second was the gold hunter's belief in its material value.
The truth which we confront when we finally step across the threshold is that the material wealth was never there. The only gold was the golden light that bathes the façade at dawn, and the only true treasure was the genius and discipline of the people who created it. The final, essential stage of the Treasury's deception comes when we cross the threshold and step from the blinding light of the plaza into the deep, quiet shadow of the interior. This is the story of stepping into the silence, the moment the myth completely collapses. Imagine the sudden, profound contrast. Outside is the immense Baroque beauty of the façade, soaring columns and sunlit figures. Inside is a single large chamber of absolute, overwhelming emptiness. The interior is cold, rough, and simple. The Nabataeans carved out the space with efficient, deliberate strokes. There are no carvings, no columns, no elaborate ceilings, only the raw, exposed surface of the sandstone bedrock. The interior of Al-Khazneh is stripped down to its essential, honest truth, a box carved in stone. The emptiness here is not accidental, it is intentional. It is a profound architectural silence that cancels out the clamor and the material fantasies suggested by the spectacular façade. This space was not designed to hold gold, it was designed to hold a sacred absence. The cold silence within the chamber is a geological quiet, the sound of stone that has stood motionless for millennia. When your voice whispers in the chamber, it is immediately absorbed by the rough, raw walls, as if the rock itself is listening and refusing to echo the sounds of the modern world. This profound emptiness is the key to understanding the structure's real purpose. A treasury designed to hold the wealth of a pharaoh would have dozens of secure chambers, intricate locks, and heavily guarded vaults. Al-Khazneh has none of this. It has a single large room and a few smaller, humble niches carved into the side walls. The deep, resonant tone of the narration now dwells on the contradiction. The most famous building in Petra, named for wealth, is defined by its spiritual vacuum. The structure is not a container for things, it is a monument to eternal memory. The silence and the emptiness tell the true story. The treasury is not a treasury at all, it is a tomb. A permanent, unyielding resting place for a powerful king who desired his final monument to be a reflection of his power, carved not upon the land, but into the immutable heart of the mountain.
With the discovery of the interior's profound emptiness, Section 4, the historical narrative begins to reveal the treasury's true identity. It is a tomb, not a storehouse. The process of unmasking the treasury leads us directly to the probable occupant, a powerful Nabataean ruler like King Aretas IV. Architecturally, the structure is clearly funerary. It adheres to the Nabataean custom of carving massive façade tombs for the elite, a way to permanently mark the memory of the dead by integrating them into the eternal, living rock of the mountain. The size and ornamentation of Al-Khazneh mark it as belonging to the highest royalty. Most archaeologists now agree that the structure was likely built in the 1st century AD and served as the mausoleum for King Aretas IV Philopatris, who died around 40 AE, or perhaps for his queen, Shagilat. Aretas IV oversaw the zenith of Nabataean wealth and power, derived from the brilliant water system and the control of trade routes, Section 14.
Imagine the power of the king's final resting place. It was designed not just for a burial, but as a place for the cult of the dead. The large, empty chamber would have been used for annual commemorative feasts and ceremonies, where the living would honor and share a meal with the spirit of the deceased king. The space was meant to be visited, used, and filled with ritual, not gold. The unmasking of the Treasury reveals a profound spiritual logic. Why hide the tomb so theatrically at the end of the sick? Because the king's enduring presence, his eternal memory, was considered the greatest treasure of the nation. The Nabataeans believed that carving the tomb directly into the bedrock ensured the permanence of the deceased's soul, blending it with the spirit of the mountain itself. The deep historical tone of the narration now celebrates the king's ingenuity. Aretas IV understood that the true security of his wealth lay not in protecting material gold, but in protecting his legacy, carving it into a structure that would defy time, decay, and the looting efforts that later destroyed the city. The tomb of Aretas is the ultimate truth of Al-Khazneh. Its wealth is its beauty, its security is its granite permanence, and its treasure is the memory of the civilization that mastered the desert through trade and, most critically, through water.
If the Treasury, or Al-Khazneh, is the Nabataean masterpiece of stone carving, then their water system is their masterpiece of engineering genius. This is the story of the whisper of the water, the silent, continuous gift that transformed a desert canyon into a thriving, legendary metropolis. The Nabataeans were not just nomadic traders, they were water magicians. They realized that the desert was not devoid of water, but that the water was chaotic, arriving in unpredictable, often destructive flash floods during the short rainy season. Their genius lay in controlling the chaos and channeling the destructive power into life-giving stability. Imagine the desert landscape through the eyes of a Nabataean engineer. Every gentle slope, every depression, every seasonal wadi, riverbed, was a potential collection point. They developed a comprehensive city-wide system to collect, filter, distribute, and store clean water in vast underground cisterns and reservoirs, Section 13, and smaller, family-owned storage tanks. The whisper of the water is the sound of this quiet, successful struggle against the desert. It is the sound of thousands of tiny, perfect gradients channeling water slowly and deliberately, ensuring that the city of Petra, even in the driest months, had access to a steady, reliable supply. The deep flowing tone of the narration now praises this hydrological mastery. The Nabataean gift was control and preservation. Their wealth was not just derived from the spice trade, Section 14, but from the fact that they could offer a reliable, guaranteed water supply to caravans traveling across the arid wastes, a priceless commodity that brought them immense power and influence. The entire existence of Petra, including the spectacular tomb of Aretas, was predicated on the success of this immense, complex, hidden hydraulic system. The true treasure of Petra was never gold. It was the ability to manufacture life in the heart of the Jordanian desert. We return to the sick, the magnificent canyon entrance, but this time we look not at the height of the walls, but at the ground beneath our feet. This is the story of the 6 hidden veins, the visible and invisible water infrastructure running alongside the primary path. The Nabataeans had to address 2 critical problems within the sick: supply and flow. 1. The supply channel, visible vein.
As noted earlier, the main water conduit is a shallow, narrow channel carved into the eastern wall of the canyon, running the entire 4-kilometer length. It is a masterpiece of precision. Imagine the engineering. The channel had to maintain a perfect slight gradient over 4 kilometers to ensure the water flowed steadily, but not so fast that it eroded the sandstone or overflowed. The water was drawn from the nearby Ain Musa, Moses' spring, and surrounding catchment areas, filtered and then guided with flawless gravitational control toward the city center. The deep, steady tone of the narration now emphasizes the meticulous, continuous effort. The 6 hidden veins were vital because they turned the canyon from a simple pathway into a functional piece of water infrastructure. Every footstep you take in the Sikh is beside a system that once sustained tens of thousands of people. When we consider the grandeur of Al-Khazneh, we must remember that the Nabataeans' time and energy were not solely dedicated to carving beautiful tombs. An equal, if not greater, amount of their effort was dedicated to the slow, silent, continuous carving of these water channels and cisterns, which guaranteed the survival of every single person who lived in the rock city. The journey through the Sikh is therefore a walk through a living plumbing system. The silent, empty channel is the ultimate testament to the Nabataean gift, the ability to find, control, and preserve life in the most unforgiving environment imaginable.
The popular image of Petra is often one of stark, dry rock and blinding desert sun. But the Nabataeans' mastery of hydrology allows us to explore the green city myth, the strong archaeological theory that Petra was once a city surrounded by lush, terraced gardens and extensive urban greenery. The sheer volume of water that the Nabataeans were able to collect, store, and distribute suggests that they were capable of far more than just survival. They were capable of cultivation. Imagine the city not as a series of tombs and temples, but as a vibrant green oasis tucked into the desert wadis. The Nabataeans were masters of terracing, building stepped platforms into the slopes of the surrounding hills, using retaining walls to create pockets of arable land. These terraced gardens would have been fed by the excess water from the central cisterns, creating a microclimate of shade and humidity. The vegetation would have included fig trees, olive groves, grapes, and various medicinal herbs, a profound visual demonstration of the Nabataeans' total victory over the arid climate. The deep contemplative tone of the narration now allows us to reconstruct this lost environment. The green city myth explains the Nabataeans' success as a trading hub, a desert city that could offer weary, dusty caravan merchants not only secure rest and fresh supplies, but also shade, fruit, and guaranteed clean water, would become the undisputed choke point for all spice trade routes. The existence of these gardens also links back to the spiritual life of the city. The Nabataeans likely saw the transformation of the barren rock into a green sanctuary as a divine miracle, a tangible blessing from their gods, earned through their own immense ingenuity and discipline. When you stand in the empty plaza before Al-Khazneh today, the only thing missing is the sound of rustling leaves, the scent of damped earth, and the hum of bees, the evidence of the green city that was silently sustained by the mastery of the water conduits.
The greatest challenge the Nabataeans faced was not drought, but flash floods. The narrow, high walls of the Sikh acted as a natural funnel, turning a heavy desert downpour into a devastating, chaotic torrent of water and debris that could destroy the city in minutes. This led to the flood control story, the tale of the massive ancient dams. The Nabataeans recognized that survival depended not just on collecting water, but on controlling its destructive power. They knew that to let the water into the city unmanaged was to invite total ruin. Imagine the immediate, terrifying reality of a flash flood in the narrow Sick. Before the Great Dam was built, the water would surge through the canyon, sweeping away anything in its path and instantly overwhelming the delicate water channels and cisterns. The solution was monumental: the construction of the first dam, a massive barrier built directly at the mouth of the Sick, where the canyon begins. This massive structure was designed to divert the floodwaters away from the main entrance and into a separate side tunnel, Wadi Muflim. This diversion tunnel then channeled the floods safely around the city center. The deep, powerful tone of the narration now reflects the engineering triumph. This act was a declaration of dominion over the desert's chaos. By controlling the most destructive force of nature, the Nabataeans ensured the stability of their city and the integrity of their main water supply channel. The dam's shadow is the unspoken guarantee of life in Petra. Without this foundational piece of civil engineering, the carved tombs, the elegant temples, and the immense trading wealth would never have been possible. The Great Dam at the Sick's entrance is the first and most vital piece of the Treasury's security, a defense not against human enemies, but against the ultimate, unpredictable enemy of the desert: water run wild.
The sheer visual impossibility of Al-Khazneh, the Treasury, compels us to ask, how was it built? The story of the rock's memory is the narrative of the unique carving process, a feat of reverse engineering that speaks to the Nabataeans' profound planning and disciplinary rigor. Unlike conventional building, where you start at the ground and stack upwards, the Nabataeans practiced architectural subtraction. They carved Al-Khazneh from the top down. Imagine the scene. Scaffolding and planning. Teams of masons and artists first chiseled footholds and ledges directly into the soft sandstone cliff face. They worked from these precarious ledges, planning the entire structure on the rock's surface before removing a single block. Top-down carving. They began carving the massive urn and the tholos at the very top. As the work progressed downwards, they chipped away at the rock, and the carved sections became the scaffolding for the level below. The discarded sandstone rubble simply fell to the ground. The final reveal was carving the massive columns and the doorway at the base, and then removing the great piles of rubble from the plaza floor to reveal the completed façade. The rock's memory is preserved in this process. You can see the tool marks and the subtle variations in the sandstone where the masons worked. Because they carved from the top down, any mistake at the peak was permanent and could not be corrected by replacing a stone. This demanded flawless planning, immense concentration, and zero error. The deep, steady tone of the narration now reflects the slow, meditative rhythm of the carving tools. This process embodies the Nabataean ethos. Their art was not temporary, it was permanent. They did not build on the mountain, they revealed the architecture that was already contained within the rock's memory. The carving process explains the enduring, pristine beauty of Al-Khazneh. It is immune to time and decay in a way no freestanding building could be, permanently integrated into the massive, silent, enduring body of the sandstone mountain.
Having explored the main chamber of Al-Khazneh, we now turn our attention to the smaller, ancillary niches and rooms. The presence of these empty crypts confirms the Treasury's primary role as a grand mausoleum and reveals the Nabataean approach to the cult of the dead. Within the main chamber, several smaller recesses or burial niches are carved into the side walls and the floor.
These were designed to hold the remains of family members or close associates of the primary occupant, likely King Aretas IV. Imagine the ritual purpose of these spaces. The Nabataeans had a strong and lasting relationship with their deceased. The burial chambers ensured that the spirit of the family remained close to the eternal, immovable essence of the king, integrated permanently into the rock alongside him. The crypts are empty today because the remains were either destroyed by looters or, more likely, were relocated centuries ago. What remains is the sheer architectural evidence of their funerary intent. There are no shelves for scrolls, no secure spaces for gold. There are only spaces for the repose of the dead. The deep, quiet tone of the narration now dwells on the Nabataean focus on the afterlife. The entire structure of Al-Khazneh was an elaborate stage for the eternal continuation of the family line. It was a spiritual guarantee that the elite, through their permanent integration into the rock, would always be available to their descendants. The burial chambers of the elite underscore the fundamental truth that Petra's magnificence was built to serve the spiritual needs of its rulers, not the material needs of its treasury. The greatest investment a Nabataean could make was in immortality, securing a permanent niche in the enduring memory of the stone.
The immense labor and reverence invested in carving the city of Petra and its tombs are explained by the Nabataeans' profound spiritual beliefs. The story of the gods of the rock, centered around their principal deity, Dushara. Dushara means Lord of the Mountain. He was the preeminent Nabataean deity, often represented not by a human form, as in Greek or Roman art, but by a simple block or cube of stone, a betil. This aniconic representation reflects the Nabataeans' fundamental belief that the divine essence was present in the immutable, unyielding rock itself. Imagine the spiritual landscape of Petra. Every mountain, every impressive cliff face, and especially the foundation stone that makes up Al-Khazneh was a manifestation of Dushara. The entire city was, effectively, a vast natural temple complex. The act of carving temples into the living rock was therefore an act of profound devotion. They were not building houses for their gods, they were carving out a sacred space within the body of the god itself. This gave their worship a permanent, unshakable intimacy. The deep, powerful tone of the narration now reflects the spiritual weight of the sandstone. The spirits of the mountain were not just protectors, they were the essence of Nabataean identity. They guaranteed the permanence of their civilization and the eternal security of their dead. The gods of the rock explain the dedication to water engineering. Dushara was a powerful deity who controlled all of nature, including the life-giving rain. By mastering the water and channeling it perfectly, the Nabataeans were proving their worth, their discipline, and their reverence for the divine order imposed by the Lord of the Mountain. The entire city was a prayer carved into the sandstone.
The Nabataeans' successful mastery of water depended utterly on their system of storage. This is the story of the underground reservoirs, the hidden, complex network of cisterns that formed the true city's lifeline and guaranteed their independence.
Collecting the rain and floodwaters was only the first step. Holding the water for the long, dry desert months was the true engineering challenge. The Nabataeans carved thousands of cisterns, small family-sized tanks, and massive public reservoirs directly into the waterproof bedrock beneath the city's main wadi and plaza areas. Imagine the network. The water conduits delivered the filtered water into these subterranean chambers. These reservoirs, often lined with waterproof plaster to prevent seepage, were sealed from the heat and evaporation of the desert sun, preserving the cool, clean water for months. The deep, steady tone of the narration now focuses on the sheer scale of this hidden infrastructure. The size and capacity of these reservoirs allowed Petra to sustain an estimated population of 20,000 to 30,000 people and, crucially, maintain its green city reputation even during extended drought periods. The underground reservoirs were the ultimate expression of the Nabataeans' foresight and their discipline against scarcity. They were not visible to the casual traveler, but they were infinitely more valuable than all the architectural splendor of Al-Khazneh. This hidden water storage was the source of Petra's power as a trading hub. A city that could guarantee water in a dry land was a city that could control the trade routes. The true treasure of Petra was not in the empty chamber of the Treasury, but in the unseen, life-giving reservoirs sealed beneath the desert floor.
The incredible wealth and architectural sophistication of structures like Al-Khazneh were funded entirely by Petra's dominance over the trade routes. This is the historical story of its immense wealth and its inevitable encounter with the Roman shadow. Petra sat at the strategic crossroads of major ancient trade routes connecting the Arabian Peninsula, incense and spices, to the Mediterranean coast, European markets. The Nabataeans were not just middlemen, they were innovators who controlled the security, taxes, and critically, the water supply for every caravan that passed through Petra. Imagine the caravans, massive lines of camels laden with frankincense, myrrh, silks, and exotic spices, all forced to pass through the choke point of Petra, paying exorbitant tariffs to the Nabataean kings. This wealth allowed the kings to commission the magnificent funerary monuments that define the city today. However, the immense wealth and strategic location inevitably drew the gaze of the Mediterranean superpower. The Roman shadow fell permanently upon Petra in 106 AD, when the Roman Emperor Trajan formally annexed the Nabataean kingdom. The deep historical tone of the narration now reflects the slow, inexorable march of empire. The absorption was not violent, it was a slow economic conquest. The Romans did not destroy Petra, they absorbed its wealth and eventually shifted the trade routes, making Petra less essential. The ultimate irony is that the Romans admired the Nabataeans' ingenuity. They built a formal road into the city and even continued to use and maintain the miraculous water conduits. But the city was slowly stripped of its political independence and its economic necessity. The elaborate Greek and Roman influences carved into Al-Khazneh were both a testament to Nabataean cosmopolitanism and a prelude to their absorption by Rome.
Petra's decline was not caused by war or invasion, but by a sudden, unpredictable act of nature that attacked its life-giving heart. This is the tragic story of the silence after the quake, the devastating event that led to the city's abandonment and transformed it into a lost civilization. The survival of Petra depended absolutely on the fragile, precise network of water conduits and underground reservoirs. The entire system was meticulously carved into the earth, but it was not designed to withstand catastrophic seismic activity. Imagine the sudden violent event. On May 19, 363 AD, a massive earthquake rocked the region. The seismic shifts were powerful enough to permanently disrupt the Nabataean hydraulic system. Conduits cracked, dam walls collapsed, and the delicate slopes of the channels were ruined. The disaster was not the loss of life, but the loss of function. Without the ability to reliably collect and distribute water, the Green City myth instantly became unsustainable. The core function of the metropolis, sustaining a large population in the desert, was permanently destroyed. The deep, mournful tone of the narration now reflects the end of the city's vibrant life. The slow, inevitable result was abandonment. The surviving inhabitants of Petra began to leave, seeking more sustainable locations. The great city, having defied the desert for centuries, was finally humbled by the shaking of the earth. The silence after the quake was absolute. The city became a ghost. The magnificent tombs and temples, including the empty chamber of Al-Khazneh, stood untouched, but the life-giving water had stopped flowing. The lost civilization was sealed not by a king's decree, but by geological trauma, leaving its stone monuments to the slow, silent preservation of the desert sand.
As a profound spiritual contrast to the meticulous, life-giving water conduits below, we tell the story of the high place of sacrifice, the raw, ancient altar carved into the very top of a mountain overlooking the entire city. To reach the high place, one must take a steep, arduous climb, a complete spiritual and physical opposite to the smooth, gentle descent of the Sikh. The path is challenging, requiring effort and dedication. Imagine the contrast. Below, in the city center, the emphasis was on life, trade, and engineering. Up here, at the highest point, the emphasis was on blood, fire, and the divine will of the gods of the rock. The high place of sacrifice is a platform carved into the exposed peak, featuring two massive stone obelisks, likely representing the twin deities Dushara and El-Uzza, a drainage system for blood, and a circular altar. The view from here is breathtaking and overwhelming. The entire scope of the Nabataean world is visible. The deep, challenging tone of the narration now reflects the spiritual intensity of this place. The rituals performed here involved animal sacrifices and communal feasting, designed to thank Dushara for the miracle of the water and the prosperity of the caravans. The high place of sacrifice completes the Nabataean spiritual picture. They were a people of balance. They excelled at the earthly, disciplined work of the water conduits, and they honored the profound, violent power of their gods at the peak of the mountain. Both the life-giving water and the blood of sacrifice were necessary to maintain the cosmic order that allowed Petra to thrive. A final, subtle narrative of Petra is the scent of the rock, a sensual meditation on the geological and aesthetic nature of the sandstone itself, which is responsible for the city's enduring, changing beauty. The rock of Petra is not uniform. It is Nubian sandstone, rich in iron and manganese oxides, which give it its famous shifting palette of color: pinks, roses, reds, and golds. The texture is soft enough to be carved with bronze tools, yet durable enough to withstand millennia of desert wind. Imagine the rock at different times of the day. Dawn, bathed in a soft, ethereal rose-pink light, making the Treasury look impossibly luminous.
Midday, harshly shadowed, turning the deep carvings into black, dramatic voids. Dusk, the rock turns a deep, fiery crimson, seeming to absorb the setting sun's light and hold its warmth. The scent of the rock is the faint, dry aroma of sun-baked dust and mineral deposits. It is a scent of geological permanence, the smell of stone that has stood motionless since the time of the Nabataeans and long before. The deep, sensual tone of the narration now dwells on the beautiful imperfection of the stone. The color changes are the sandstone's story, a slow, silent narrative of its constant reaction to light and atmosphere. The Treasury's empty chamber is made more poignant by this constant color shift. The beauty of the exterior is a dynamic, living spectacle. The emptiness of the interior is a constant, cold truth. The Nabataeans chose a material that was eternally beautiful and eternally changeable to house a legacy they hoped would be equally eternal.
We end our story where we began, in the quiet, empty plaza before Al-Khazneh. The final narrative is the realization of the Treasury's true wealth, the enduring echo of the water's genius. We know the building is a tomb and the urn is empty. The physical wealth that built this empire, the gold and spice tariffs, is long gone, flowing back into the hands of the Romans and the desert wind. But the true treasure remains. It is the story of the Nabataean discipline, their foresight, their engineering mastery, and their profound reverence for the elements. Their true wealth was never gold. It was the knowledge of how to make life bloom in the heart of death. Imagine the final echo, a silent, flowing hum beneath the dust. It is the ghost of the water traveling down the perfectly carved conduits. It is the silence of the cisterns holding the promise of life. The deep, conclusive tone of the narration now brings the story to rest. The magnificent, empty façade of Al-Khazneh is a glorious monument to a dead king, but the water conduits are the living testament to a thriving civilization. The Nabataeans left us a message carved not just in the beautiful rock, but in the enduring principle of resourcefulness. They taught us that mastery over the environment and not material possessions is the greatest and most enduring treasure a civilization can ever possess. That lesson remains sealed within the walls of the Sikh, waiting to be rediscovered by those who walk slowly and listen carefully for the water's echo.